We have arrived. It's Friday. It's Friday, everybody. And it's a beautiful Friday here in northern New Jersey, 85 degrees and sunny. After I'm done with this stream, I'm going to sit outside for a little bit. I actually got a little bit of research I need to do this evening because, well, I mean, that's just part of my job. It's not like it's, oh, well, the research will end. No, it's going to continue. But tomorrow we're going to do another mental health stream. I'll put a timer, I'll put a countdown on it. But we'll do that tomorrow or Sunday. So either way, I'll put the countdown so y'all will know. But we're gonna be doing an introduction into just kind of the world of mental illness and institutionalization. So that institutionalization, G Martinez, what's going on, brother? How you doing? So institutionalization meaning jails, prisons, also meaning like mental hospitals, asylums. We're going to talk about the deinstitutionalization, which was a movement. We got Mayor in the building. What's going on? Good to have you here. Hope you're doing well. Yeah, deinstitutionalization was a movement that pushed to kind of like give individual personal freedoms back to the mentally ill. Um, people who suffer from different types of psychosis, delusion, stuff like that, maybe bipolar disorder. We'll talk about the history of like how people have looked at it. Medicaid actually helped play a role in state mental hospitals closing down. There's a lot to talk about, because it's not as if the mental hospitals were closed down for bad reasons. A lot of the time, I mean, human beings have a tendency whenever there's like large institutions, like warehouses of people, another good way to put it, um, we have a tendency to mistreat those people. So whether it be people in like nursing homes or people in uh prison systems, orphanages, stuff like that. So we're gonna talk about that. It'll be an introduction, and I'll do it either tomorrow or Sunday, but I'll put a counter down. But yes, it's Friday. We made it to the weekend, and is it officially summer or no? Is it has the first day of summer reached us, or am I way too early for that? I feel like I'm way too early, but I could be tripping. But yeah, there's a couple of things that we gonna discuss. Hold on. First day of summer 2024. June 20th. Nah, so we got about a month. June 20th is the first day of summer. Oh, we got Banjo Queen in the building, Twin Dragon, Libby Stoned Assassin. How's everybody in the tribe doing? Yes, we still got a ways to go for summer. Okay, so let's see what's up. We got Dimitri LG. What's going on, brother? How you doing? Where are we gonna start off? We got some abortion. We got some of that to talk about. I mean, I'm sure that y'all saw Nikki Haley endorsing Donald Trump. Oh, you still got snow falling in Washington. Well, I guess that is the place for it. I still haven't been to Washington. I know I'm gonna spend time there, but it just seems like a beautiful place. But yeah, I'm sure that y'all have seen and are hip to and caught up on Nikki Haley, and the fact that she endorsed Trump. And it's just like, well, Banjo Queen, off that's usually how it is, you know what I mean? So one day at a time. Let's keep taking it one day at a time. That's why I said after this stream, I'm gonna spend a little bit of time outside, make sure I enjoy myself. Yesterday, I really didn't do much of anything. Yesterday was kind of my day off. Yeah, I mean, look, listen, after Nikki Haley endorsed Trump, no, it's not surprising at all. There's really not much to say about it. Other than what was even the point? And what was even the point in the Republicans having a primary? I mean, Chris Christie, he really was the only Republican that made any type of serious fight against Trump in any type of meaningful way. And he really, he dropped out a few months ago. Um, but it's like, I mean, essentially the Republican primary was nothing but an attempt for everybody to be Trump's VP choice. But I mean, this is just kind of embarrassing. Not that she cares. I don't know if she really cares, but I mean, for what? She could have just been like, "Hey, I'm not going to endorse anybody." I mean, wasn't kind of the whole point of her campaign and people who supported her campaign the, "Hey, we don't want the Republican Party to keep going down the MAGA direction." That kind of was what her campaign symbolized. So, I guess, and how is this really helping her politically? I don't know. I mean, I guess she just doesn't want people online. Maybe she doesn't want people on Twitter. She doesn't want MAGA trolls to troll her, but that's always going to happen. I just, what was the point? I don't really see the point. But yeah, no, this happened the other day, and I know y'all saw it. I posted something in the community section about it too. But Joe Biden is just so terrible. I have to back down. And let's see. I think I have something pulled up. Uh Apparently we got Lord of Bananas in the building. What's going on? Snicks, what's going on? Um Apparently, well, I saw some blurb that said Trump and Haley haven't met since she's publicly endorsed them, but I mean, she just did it, so I don't really know how much that means. I can't imagine. I can't imagine that Nikki Haley actually likes him as a person. There's no way that she does. And to some degree, she has to feel a little bit embarrassed about this because I mean, she looks like she looks like she wasted her time and everybody who supported her campaign's time. She looks like a pushover. She looks like she doesn't stand for anything. So, I just don't really see what the point was. Um, so we got Donald Trump reveals nasty, and again, that's the other thing too. This man calling you bird brain Nikki Haley. Like saying, "Oh, she's so dumb, she's so stupid," and then here you are endorsing him. I mean, like, God, it's embarrassing, and to some degree, she has to feel shame. I mean, she has to. Maybe she doesn't, but I think she probably. If she didn't the day she did it, I'm sure she is now because everybody hounded her for it. Former President Donald Trump announced that his former GOP primary rival Nikki Haley would have a role on his team in some form, but fell short of considering her as his potential VP pick after the former South Carolina governor announced that she would vote for him in November. During an exclusive interview with News 12's Tara Rosenblum, after his rally at Cortana Park in the Bronx, Trump made his first comments following Haley's quasi endorsement following the heated primary between the two Republicans. The ex-president told Rosenblum, quote, "I think she's going to be on our team because we have a lot of the same ideas, the same thoughts. I appreciated what she said." That's what Trump said. We had a nasty campaign. It was pretty nasty, he explained. But she's a very capable person. And I'm sure she's going to be on our team in some form. Absolutely. Yo, his Trump's cabinet is going to be like the worst thing ever. His cabinet, the second go round, is going to be nothing but, you know, extremist yes men who are all trying to take his place. And it's going to be like the bottom of the barrel people. Nobody with any type of real earned respectable credibility in any way is going to want to be a part of Trump's administration. It's only going to be like the Alina Habas of the world and worse, like she's an incompetent lawyer, but then there's people who are incompetent and like evil. I don't know enough about Alina Habba to say that she's evil. I can't sit here and say that. But there's going to be, people like Stephen Miller, that's him and worse, Nick Fuentes. Like it's gonna be people like Nick Fuentes. It's gonna be people like we got Ariola in the building. What's going on? How you doing today? Um, Nick Fuentes, and then that one guy who we watched the other day. I can't remember his name, but he's the guy who was posting stuff about how he always keeps fake money in his car so that he can give it to homeless people so that they can get in trouble. So that he can clean up the streets. Like it's gonna be people like that in this cabinet. Um, it's gonna be much worse than the first go round. Okay, so what we got with Mr. Ted Cruz? Ted Cruz is just he's we got to get rid of him, man. We got to get him out of office. We got to vote him out of office. Whoever it is, get him out. Ted Cruz blasts Biden's cannabis rescheduling plan, says drug driving will lead to car accidents and deaths. I mean, of course he would say something like this, but this is just ridiculous because, like alcohol is legal and most people don't drive drunk. Most people aren't going to get behind like I've always been able to know, like, nah, I'm too drunk to drive. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like the overwhelming majority of people now, obviously drunk driving happens, but it's illegal, so like driving super intoxicated is not ever going to be legal. So this sentiment is just, eh, it's stupid. Most people who buy alcohol and drink it have the wherewithal to take an Uber home, to have a designated driver, or you just know, you feel me? Like if you didn't had a beer or two, like you probably straight, but you just know, like, oh damn, I'm sauced. I should not be driving. Obviously, people don't always do that. But I just feel like it's a goofy thing. And we know, I mean, there was the other day we went over a study about how, uh cannabis usage is slightly down for teenagers in states where it's recreationally legal compared to where and when it wasn't. So it's just kind of a waste of time. And regardless, at the end of the day, the legalization process for cannabis is not going to stop. We got Queen Fritz in the building. How you doing with your bad self today? What you got cooking in the kitchen today? What you got going on? Um, but yeah, the legalization process of cannabis is not going to stop. One of the bigger reasons being there's so much money to be made and everybody needs it. Even if you're not in the business of selling it, states need it, especially poorer states. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, extremist conservatives don't want it legalized, but this is a lot of money. You feel me? So it can't be stopped at this point. So that's too bad, so sad. Too bad, so sad. Ted Cruz. And speaking again of Ted Cruz, we got to get him up out of office. Got to get him out of office. Um. Okay, so apparently, like Trump's crowd at the Bronx was, they always try to spend everything like, oh, it's just so massive and it's so huge. But apparently, this is how decent little crowd, but that's nothing like incredible. And apparently, a lot of the people there were like not really representative of the area. Just to show again, like Donald Trump is struggling just as much as Joe Biden is. Both of them are not in a good position. Neither one of them are popular at all. It is still a race to the bottom, because this is not some overwhelming crowd at all. And again, that's why I said it's still a race to the bottom. But let's see what some of these people said, because I think I have some videos, uh, some videos of people there. Let's see. Uh, no, I don't think we need that one. Okay, here we go. Like there were several thousand people there, you know what I'm saying? But like his like Trump just isn't as popular as he used to be. He's just not. Again, and it just goes to show the state of just especially the federal government right now. Neither one of these guys are in a good spot. All right, so let's see what some of these people had to say.
I love it. I wasn't going to Pennsylvania.
Him coming to the Bronx.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. I wasn't going to Pennsylvania or Jersey or wherever he's at. I watch him on TV, on Newsmax,
Have you seen him before?
on TV, yeah.
But you've never seen him at a rally?
No. First time in the Bronx, yeah.
You know, and they say a Republican has a very long shot of actually winning in
Oh,
New
yeah,
York.
no, I know that. I want to be able to look myself in the mirror. I can't get my wife to common sense. I love her, but no stars.
It's wonderful. Very happy that he came here.
What
At
would
least
you
we got
say to,
support.
what would you say to him if he was
Right, exactly. If he would have went to Staten Island or something, he would have done a lot better. Because again, people showed up, but this is like, like it's not. It's very indicative of who Trump's base is. Like people aren't excited about either one of these guys. But no, that's a good point. He definitely would have done better to do it in Staten Island. Why not? Because then I mean, it's still New York, and you would just get better footage.
If I seen him in face, I would congratulate him and thank you for coming here.
And what do you think of Joe Biden?
Joe Biden is a louse.
He's a louse.
He's a louse.
I like that. What
There's
would
nothing
you,
else to say about him.
and if I was Joe Biden, what would you say to me?
What would I tell you?
Yeah.
Get out of my way.
Get out of your way.
Get out of my way and keep moving.
I believe in Trump. I want Trump to. Trump is going to win the presidency. He's going to win New York. And the fact that I like Trump, and I think the reason why a lot of black people are out here in the Bronx are for Trump is because Trump is a fighter. Trump has that God factor. The fact that he has fallen down, they persecuted him, they prosecuted him,
He has the God factor.
they've lied about him, and he comes back fighting. He represents us, the blacks, in this city and in the world. He represents blacks. He's
These people, they're just delusional. It's just a big fun game to them. You know what I'm saying? I mean, like, because Trump's base is just a bunch of weirdos at this point. It's just a bunch. It's either kids, young, really young kids who just, they just don't know what they're talking about because they're young, haven't lived enough life, and then just a whole bunch of just weirdos, like people who will openly sit there and be like, well, I mean, we got people on camera saying stuff like, "I don't want a dictatorship, but if we had to have one, I would want Donald Trump." Trump has that God factor. Like, what? Like, what the hell does that even mean? Hold on. I got something on the way. Um, ooh. All right. But yeah, Trump, thousands and thousands and thousands of retweets. We've seen that video and so God made Trump. God needed somebody who could use their hands to till the lands and also to fight against the injustice. So God made Trump. Like, it's so ridiculous, but it's real, and he might be president again. you know. Um, but you're right, exactly. She definitely not at the cookout. And it's always hilarious when they're like, this is why so many black people like, nah, it's not so many black people that like Donald Trump. It's some. It's some, but it's definitely not a whole lot. Especially not the ones who show up to the polls. You feel me? Like it no. Um, but yeah, neither one of these guys are popular at all. Okay, so Trump made a list. Trump drops stunning VP short list to reporter that includes black running mate who is not Tim Scott. Yeah, in no world would Tim Scott have been his running mate. I mean, I don't see. I don't see it really being of that much benefit, honestly, to Donald Trump to pick a black running mate. I doubt that he would. Maybe, but I doubt it. Um, but if he did, it would not be Tim Scott because Tim Scott just doesn't. He doesn't fit. You know, he doesn't match at all. Donald Trump Donald Trump is a showman. He's an entertainer. He has charisma. Tim Scott has none of those things. And he's black. So it just wouldn't work. If he gonna pick somebody black, it would be someone who's charismatic and, good at talking and stuff like that.
So if not Nikki, then who? Let's make some news.
Hold on one sec. I'm about to play this and then I gotta go grab something real quick. So actually, while I grab this, I'm gonna play something else because hold on, give me one sec, y'all. I'm gonna go to this door, but I'm gonna play this. Abby Phillip confronts Byron Donalds for claiming Biden authorized deadly force against Trump. One sec, I'll be right
which
back.
is making communities less safe. That's what I oppose.
I want to ask you about another issue. Just recently, there was this issue of the search warrant for the search of former President Trump's Mar-a-Lago property.
Yeah.
And it authorized the use of deadly force for the FBI agents, standard boilerplate language. But you and others have described it as an assassination attempt on the former president. That's just not true. Why would you say something like that?
Well, first of all, my view of it is very simple. You have the FBI going in to do this raid on Mar-a-Lago. This is not like any other raid that they would do. FBI agents who did that raid did not want to do it. They didn't think it was necessary. And this is all politically motivated at the end because Merrick Garland wanted that to
Congressman,
happen.
the
Merrick
language-
Garland.
Yes, he would never pick. He would need somebody who could help him, but not overshadow him. Definitely, because that always drives him crazy. We got hold on. Yes, we got Robin in the building. What's going on, Robin Zig? How you doing? Good to have you here.
Wanted the
The language
scenes,
for
which
the
your network
raid,
did
the
cover.
language is the use of deadly force for the FBI agents, standard boilerplate language. But you and others have described it as an assassination attempt on the former president. That's just not true. Why would you say something like that?
Well, first of all, my view of it is very simple. You have the FBI going in to do this raid on Mar-a-Lago. This is not like any other raid that they would do. FBI agents who did that raid did not want to do it. They didn't think it was necessary. And this is all politically motivated at the end because Merrick Garland wanted that to
Congressman,
happen.
the
Merrick
language-
Garland wanted the
language
scenes,
for
which
the
your network
raid-
did
the
cover,
language for
of
the
going into
search-
Mar-a-Lago. Did they
Congressman,
not?
with all due respect, the language for the search is standard operating procedure for every operation of that kind that the FBI does. They did the same thing when they searched Joe Biden's house.
Yes, but I would say
So
that.
how is that
Well, what I would
weaponizing
say
it?
when they
Is
searched
Joe Biden weaponizing
but
the
when they
DOJ
searched
against
Joe
himself?
Biden's house, there weren't all the networks, from my recollection, with helicopters flying over the beach house in Rehoboth Beach, going to find the classified documents in his garage that he took when he was the vice president and when he was the United.
Yeah, well, metaphorically and hypothetically speaking, if you think really hard about it and you pretend he was, they were trying to assassinate him, but only if you pretend and make it super hypothetical. And I mean, this is just dumb. It's like you. I mean, being a politician, you got to be full of shit to be a politician. But especially a Republican and especially a black Republican, because you have to play pretend constantly. Like, oh no, I don't see what's right in front of me. I don't know what's going on. Yeah, I agree. Actually, no, actually, this is happening, and it has to be so exhausting because at the end of the day, you just, I mean, how far are you really gonna get in that group, in that crowd, with those people? And one of the things that always really gets to me, that's not to say that there are no effective black conservative politicians, because I mean that isn't true. That can't be true. Especially if you look like at a more of a local level, like councilmen and stuff like that. But still, even at that, um, one of the things that you see so kind of repetitively over and over again is black Republicans acting like they care more about the black community than everyone else. So why are you aligned with this incredibly white organization if that's the case? You know what I'm saying? Like it's and then and because you're so aligned with, all your colleagues are, like white Republicans, all your friends, maybe not, they didn't used to, but now all your friends is white Republicans. How can you say this? And then you got to go on TV and then pretend like what the Republican Party is doing, in fact, is not a bunch of fascist, racist bullshit. So I don't know, man. It's it's pretty tired because at the end of the day, he has to know what's up. Like he has to know that he's only going to get so far with this group of people.
The state senator, which,
But
by
the,
the way,
but
is a
I'm,
violation
but
of the Espionage
Congressman, I'm
Act.
talking
They
about
didn't
this.
do that.
I'm talking about
didn't
this
politicize it.
conspiracy theory.
They didn't politicize
Congressman,
it.
I'm talking about the conspiracy theory that the FBI was trying
What
to.
do you mean they didn't politicize it? People politicize everything. Any of the conservative networks, yeah, they did politicize it. So again, like this is just, and he knows it. He knows it.
Assassinate Trump.
Well, let's talk
Would you
about-
acknowledge
let's-
that that is not true?
Well, let's talk about what's fact.
But,
Let's talk about
just
what's
real
fact.
simple question.
What's fact
is
is
it true or false that the FBI was
Abby,
trying to
Abby,
assassinate Trump?
What's fact
that
is
language?
is that Joe Biden violated the Espionage Act. He did it with impunity.
I just wanna
and Robert
know-
Hur is not prosecuting him.
Congressman, I
because
just
his-
want-
Because again, like like when it comes, because one of the things I've noticed is like conservatives who like are too lost in the sauce. Because there's a scale, there's a spectrum. But when conservatives are too lost in the sauce, they think in slogans. Like everything's a slogan, everything's so simple, and all you have to do is embrace these simple truths. Everything gets broken down into some type of metaphorical slogan. So things can sound good. Like again, they can be like, oh well, the black community needs to be more insulated in a sense of it needs to have its stronger economies within our own communities and stuff like that. That is true, but then again, how can you say all of these things that hold weight and then align yourself with the Republican Party? It doesn't add up at the end of the day. It's like you can say a few things that might make sense, but then in practice, you're with a group of people who don't look like you.
want
This
to
is a
know
senile
that
old man.
you are not
Meanwhile-
responding to a very simple
meanwhile-
question about a conspiracy theory that you
What
voiced.
conspiracy theory?
That the FBI, by having on a document that they are authorized to use deadly force, was trying to harm or assassinate former President Trump. That is false. Will you acknowledge that?
Can I be very clear with you?
Sure.
I'm not sure what Merrick Garland is trying to do these days.
So the answer
because
is
it is
no.
clear that the
You
Department
won't
of
acknowledge
Justice
that
is being
that's not
weaponized
true.
against Donald Trump. That is clear.
That's pretty extraordinary.
That they're weaponized against Donald Trump.
It's
That's not extraordinary. That's what's
it's
happening
pretty
right now. Abby.
extraordinary that when faced with really clear facts, very clear facts, it's pretty much black and white, you won't acknowledge it. I'm trying to understand why.
Abby, we just
I mean,
had
is
this
it
conversation.
because is it
Because it's his job. That's why. It's just his job.
because
talk
the
about what
former
we're
president
witnessing.
himself has raised this conspiracy that you
No,
feel like you
I've
have
not
to
even,
support
I've
it?
not even talked to the president about this. You asked me a question about the FBI raid. I'm telling you, we are witnessing a weaponization of the Department of Justice against a political rival because Donald Trump had
Congressman-
documents covered under the Presidential
Congressman,
Records Act. They
I'm
raided
not
Mar-a-Lago.
I'm not litigating
Joe Biden had
the-
documents, and there's no prosecution because he's a
Congressman, I'm not
senile old
arguing
man.
with you
That's
about-
not
Again, how childish is this at the end of the day? It's like, oh, it's not fair, which again, there's always something to be said about this, but we're talking about the president, the ex-president. It's and he knows it.
That's not even
the
equal
validity
justice.
of the charges. It's a simple question of whether the raid was carried out in a way that was standard operating procedure for the FBI. And as I'm sure you know, the Republican Party calls themselves a party of law and order.
Yes, of
the
course.
FBI, as law enforcement officers, they go and they execute search warrants every day under the threat of violence. And they have to have that language every single time to protect themselves. In this case, though, they coordinated with the president's lawyers. They coordinated with the Secret Service. Why would you insinuate that that was some kind of attempt at former President Trump's life.
Abby, I'm not making
Just,
any
I mean, it's very
I'm not
simple to
making any
just say
insinuation.
that's not
The
true.
only thing I'm saying is that what we have witnessed is an uneven application of the law by the Department of Justice. You had Hillary Clinton, Hillary
Okay.
Clinton violated the Espionage
You are
Act. There were no
changing-
charges.
you're changing
Joe
the
Biden has
subject.
no, because the
You
purpose
are
of
changing the
the purpose
subject.
of the warrant is because of classified
No,
material. Is
I'm
it
not talking about
But you have
the
an
purpose of the
unequal
warrant.
He doesn't care about this because there's no passion coming from him. He doesn't care. He knows this is bullshit. He's kind of looking around and stuff. He doesn't give a fuck. If this was something that he really cared about, I'm not saying that he would be yelling and screaming, but you would be able to feel some passion and he would be able to say more about it. You know what I mean? Now that's not to say that people can't, fake and BS their passion for things if they're good actors, because of course they can, but it's clear that Byron Don he doesn't care about this. He doesn't believe it. He's doing his job. This is what his job is, literally.
application of the law.
I'm talking
you have
about
a two-tier system of justice that you don't want to actually acknowledge.
When you tell your supporters and the former president's supporters that there was a government attempt on the former president's life, and that is not true. That is a major insinuation, and it deserves to be
government
walked
attempt?
back.
It
deserves to be walked back.
I would
Congressman.
argue right now, if you look at the actions of Jack Smith and Merrick Garland, there is an attempt to incarcerate Donald Trump over foolishness because they cannot win a political election. And they have lost their minds collectively.
And again, like what he's saying right now is a narrative. It's just a narrative. Like, oh, the only reason Donald Trump is, in trouble for things that he's done, the only reason he's facing penalties, facing consequences for things that he did is because they can't win an election. And well, maybe if Trump didn't do these things, he wouldn't be facing it. Again, like he doesn't care. He's looking at the clock like, "Oh, I got 3 more minutes and then I'm out this motherfucker. I got 3 more minutes. Just keep saying the same BS and then I can go home."
And they have decided that whether it's the documents case or this foolish.
And the other thing as well about like the being publicly attached to the Republican Party, look, believe whatever you want. If you're a black conservative, that's fine. But don't be a Republican. Don't do that, because once you do that, you don't have any credibility. And even if maybe you made a mistake, you're not going to be able to shake that mistake, because the Republican Party is just so goddamn ridiculous that, and you have to do things like this when you're a part of the party. But if he was, now he probably wouldn't be able to be in office if he wasn't a Republican. I'm just generally speaking, because there's a lot of, black conservatives who have voices. Well, I don't know about a lot, but there's some. But if you're not able to condemn the Republican Party, then what good is your voice? What good is your stance? Like, it don't mean nothing.
January 6th case, which has no true merit, or what's happening here in
Congressman.
Manhattan with Alvin Bragg, that they have chosen to use the justice system for political purposes and interfere in elections.
In
That's
this
not a
same-
conspiracy
Congressman,
theory,
in this
Abby.
same-
That's a real situation. We should be talking about
You're
that,
talking about-
not about what's written in the FBI document.
Congressman, you talked about that. You tweeted about
talk
the
about a lot of
FBI
things.
document. You're the one changing the subject, but I do want to make one last note because we have to go. But you've been asked this before. I'm going to ask you again, just for the record. If Donald Trump loses the election in 2024, will you accept the results of that election?
My answer has been very clear on this. If the states,
yes or no
If
question.
the states and localities actually follow rules and procedures, and everybody sees the rules followed, then of course you accept what's done. But what you cannot have
It's a yes or no
are
question,
judges and municipalities and districts not following law passed by state legislatures. That has led us to the problems we have in our elections. That's where you have Republicans and Democrats object to elections. And so
Fair to
again,
say
we just
that
want to have a clear.
Again, like it's just, I mean, it depends on what you want to do, but like if you're gonna have some type of a public life, man, like once you become a member of the Republican Party, one, you can't. It's similar with the Democrats, but it's just not the same. It's just not. Like again, the Democratic Party will be fine without Joe Biden. After Joe Biden, new people will step up. People will continue to win elections. But the Republican Party's entire identity is wrapped around Donald Trump. So it's just like, which is a problem. It's a problem in a lot of ways, but it's relatively dangerous. All right. Now, here's I think what he was talking about his list, his potential VP list.
So if not Nikki, then who? Let's make some news tonight, you and I, for your hometown TV station. Share with me your top 3 candidates for your running mate at this point.
Well, we have so many. I don't
Banjo Queen, thank you so much. I went to the barbershop last week. He did a good job. I appreciate you.
want to do that, but we have so many. You could take people like Ben Carson. You could take people like Marco Rubio, J.D. Vance. I mean, there are so many. Elisa's doing a fantastic job. But I could go on for quite a long time. We have many people that would do a really fantastic job.
Do you have a timeline on when you'll make the
I
decision?
think sometime during the convention.
Okay.
Well, we'll find out. I mean, there's really not much to go on with that. Now, okay, now let's get to you're right, exactly. That's why I said Fritz. He just there doing his job. Like he don't believe none of it. And again, you could tell because there's no one, he was just sticking to the talking points, but he was just flat. There's no emotion, no passion in it whatsoever. Like he don't care about this bullshit. It's just what he get paid for. All right. We got Clarence Thomas attacks Brown v. Board of Education, ruling amid 70th anniversary because, of course, like he just is a strange dude. Like you go from being a Black Panther to whatever the hell you is now. Like and then his wife just seems to be nuts. Like his wife is having all this influence over what goes down. Like what? People paying for everything for him, paying for him to go here, paying for him to live here, had this, had that. Like he just but yeah, no, let's see what he's talking about. Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas issued a strong rebuke of the Brown v. Board of Education ruling on Thursday, suggesting the court overreached its authority in the landmark decision that banned separating school children by race. Nah, we should let people do that if they want to, because I mean, what the fuck? Like, why do you think the decision was made in the first place? Because you're helping minority communities. That's why the decision was made in the first place. The whole reason you're able to segregate Black communities or Latino communities or whatever non-white communities in this country is because there's so much less of them than white people, than Caucasians still. Like that's still the case, which is why Brown v. Board of Education was necessary and why it happened. Because it's like, hey, you guys can't do this just because like you can, That's the whole point of law. I mean, well, there's other points of it too, but one of the points of law is to, stop people from doing things just because they can. Because there's a whole lot of things all of us could do, but we don't. One, yeah, sure, because for morality and because maybe we're not good, maybe we're good people, but we're all people. And I guarantee you this. If you knew that wasn't no legal repercussions for you putting your hands on somebody or stealing this or stealing that, even taking somebody's life, eh, you'd be out here doing a whole lot more than you think you would. And again, that's not to assault anybody's character. It's just to say that is the importance of law. That's kind of the whole deal with society. It helps keep us all in check. Again, sure, we don't want to do things because of right and wrong, but also a lot of the time what keeps us in check is we know if I do this, I'm gonna ruin my life. There's consequences to pay for it. You know what I'm saying? So it's just, Ruckus, Mr. Ruckus. That's who this is, Uncle Ruckus. Like, dude, what the hell are you talking about? The Brown v. Board of Education is one of the more necessary Supreme Court decisions that I'm familiar with in American history. I mean, it's not like America's been around for 1,000 years. Like we have a couple hundred years of history. There have been a number of important Supreme Court decisions, many that I know I have no clue about because I just don't know everything. I mean, dude, oh my God, this is incredible. And of course, he said it. You know what I'm saying? Of course, he's the one who said it. Not, we're not talking about Alito. We're not talking about any of the other judges. We're talking about the black man. Perhaps the Supreme Court overstepped its boundaries by saying that we can't bully minority communities. I mean, and then they pose that like, oh well, he's an intellectual. He just thinks about things differently. No, he's stupid. Clearly, he's dumb. Either he's just evil and corrupt, or he's dumb. No, he doesn't see things differently because he has a better perspective. He's just a dumb guy who got lucky and became a Supreme Court justice, apparently. Oh, and he's very corrupt. Thomas attacked the Brown decision in a concurrence opinion that allows South Carolina to keep using a congressional map that critics say discriminated against black votes. The court took a boundless view of equitable remedies in the Brown ruling, wrote Thomas, who in 1991 replaced Supreme Court Justice Thurgood Marshall, the first black Supreme Court justice and the lead lawyer in the Brown case. Those remedies came through the extravagant uses of judicial power to end racial segregation in the 50s and 60s, Thomas wrote. Federal courts have limited power to grant equitable relief, not the flexible power to invent whatever new remedies may seem useful at the time, he said, justifying his opinion to keep a predominantly white congressional district in South Carolina. Oh, how convenient. How convenient that your weird ass opinion helps white people be racist. How convenient is that? The U.S. marked the 70th anniversary of the landmark Brown v. Board of Education ruling last week. The 9-0 decision declared the separate but equal doctrine unconstitutional and helped usher in the civil rights movement, though it took 2 decades to dismantle some school segregation policies. An Axios review found American public schools are growing more separate and unequal, even though the country is more racially and ethnically diverse than ever. Racial segregation in schools across the country has increased dramatically over the last 3 decades. The resegregation of America's public schools coincides with the rise of charter schools and school choice options, and as civil rights groups have turned away from desegregation battles. Yeah, I mean, they turned away from it because there were other battles to fight. This is becoming more of an issue now, but for a while it wasn't, which is why again they started to put their resources elsewhere. Segregated schools disproportionately hurt Black and Latino students since those schools tend to have fewer resources, more teacher shortages, higher student to school counselor ratios, and fewer AP class options. Clarence Thomas has always been viewed suspiciously, if not downright hated, by civil rights advocates for repackaging arguments once made by segregationists in the name of supporting broad beliefs about limited government action. Critics have also spotlighted Thomas's wife, Jenny Thomas, for trying to reverse the 2020 presidential election results, and Justice Thomas for not recusing himself from Supreme Court decisions about the January 6th riot. Yeah, I mean, see, again, it's like, oh, well, I'm just a prestige thinker. Like, no, you're not. You're just a dipshit who's really corrupt. And I mean, like, what? What? Like, perhaps they overstep their boundaries a little bit. If we want white people to be. I mean, oh God, this guy. If there was ever an indication that we need term limits in the Supreme Court, it is Clarence Thomas. I mean, right, and exactly that he was the one who replaced Thurgood Marshall. Like, really, like. I just that dude is something else. Okay, now let's check out more about how Republicans. We got Aaron in the building. What's going on? How you doing today? We rolling this afternoon. Homicide is a leading cause of death for pregnant people. Abortion bans are making things worse. Because and just like Trump said, like everybody wanted Roe to be reversed. Everybody. That's what made things more simple. We gave it back to the states. And you know what? It's just the whole idea of choice where there shouldn't be any is funny to me. Like, when they say, oh, well, people want choice in their health insurance providers. Like, I don't want to, like if you get, health insurance paid for, if you got your health care paid for by your job or something, that's a lot simpler. But if you don't, then either you can't afford it or every year you got to sign up for health insurance again, and it's way too expensive and it doesn't cover everything. And it's like, "Oh boy, I can't wait to set aside several hours that I don't have to fill out yet again my healthcare insurance info." And then the same shit for things like abortion. Like, oh, everyone, because people don't want to think about these things. People just want to be able to get legal abortions if they have to. People don't want to be like, oh, let me set aside 3 hours of my time so that I can think about all the ins and outs of an issue that was settled 52 years ago. Like, bruh, like that, it principle for principle's sake doesn't always work. You got to be flexible. Sometimes your principles don't fit in the situation, and this is one of them. I want choice when I go to the goddamn grocery store. I don't want choice. I don't want to think about all this bullshit when I'm getting my health care. But let's continue. Oh, this is what everyone wanted. We just couldn't wait. And now, well, because women just love this. Everyone loves this. When Julianne McShane wanted to report on how some of the most vulnerable women in the United States were dealing with the Supreme Court's decision to overturn Roe v. Wade, she knew exactly where she needed to go. Tulsa, Oklahoma. Oklahoma is where two realities collide. It is one of the 16 states that have banned abortion almost entirely. Yeah, again, because people just, oh, we couldn't wait for that to happen. And it's a bunch of BS anyway, because this is not even something that Republican constituents want. And they still are pushing for it. Like a couple of days ago, Donald Trump was like, we're considering, I'm open to contraception bans. I'm totally open to that. And then, like, literally the next day or 2 days later, he was like, I never said that I was open to contraceptive bans. It's fake news. Like but yeah, Republicans are open to that and they want that and they pushing for it. Clearly, they are not kidding with this. Now, where are we now? Um, and it has some of the highest rates of intimate partner violence nationwide. People might not realize how dangerous it is to be pregnant in the context of an abusive relationship, and abortion restrictions obviously just make that even more difficult. Yeah, I mean that's a very direct correlation, I mean, like if you're pregnant, if you have someone's child, you tied to them forever, whether you like it or not. So yeah, this is definitely a real correlation for sure. For sure. I mean, because again, once again, everyone wanted this. We just couldn't wait for this to be the reality. McShane wanted to quantify how difficult things were becoming for women in Oklahoma. So she met up with a domestic violence advocate named Heather Williams. Williams is not exactly a social justice warrior. She's a former cop. But she told McShane this story about how abortion restrictions have upended her world. Back in the summer, she was called to a local hospital to counsel a woman who had requested a rape kit. She does this frequently. She holds the victim's hand and tells them what's going to happen next. Quote, this woman is in the hospital bed, and a standard part of the forensic exam is to give a pregnancy test. And so they give her the test and they inform her that the result is positive. And Heather said that she was frozen initially and then she just broke down crying. Imagine yourself in Heather Williams' shoes. Because of Oklahoma's ban, there's no abortion provider for her to recommend. Right, exactly. So it's like you're just there and you just tell them if they're pregnant or not, after they get taken advantage of and assaulted like that. But you can't suggest any type of provider. You just there to tell them if they are or if they're not. Give them a pat on the back and you know, tell them they're in your thoughts and prayers. Because what else can you do? Oklahoma also passed one of those vigilante laws a while back, the ones that allow strangers to sue you for aiding or abetting an abortion. It got tied up in court, but still laying out medical options. It felt like a risk. It changed how Williams thought about her work. Quote, I don't think Heather would consider herself an abortion rights advocate necessarily, but she sees the survivors that she works with and she knows that it needs to be an option that's available to people. And Oklahoma isn't the only place where scenes like this are unfolding. It's happening all over the place, McShane said. And advocates across the country are in this difficult position of not knowing what they can tell survivors, of fearing that if they do give them information, that they could be criminalized. So yeah, we don't really need to go through all of this right now, because it's kind of more of like an interview where they're running back and forth. But that is definitely I mean, there's so much to quantify with anything that you're studying, in society. But the reversal of Roe v. Wade, there's so many things to count, whether it be obviously unwanted pregnancies, um, increase or decrease in poverty, family size, how it impacts the job market, how it impacts the health and health insurance industry, how it impacts what we're talking about now, like women not being able to get away from abusive situations. How does it impact people's mental and physical health? How does it impact there's so much to look at. How does it impact the education system? This was just a stupid political move. It was just bad. There ain't nothing good came from it. Ain't nothing good gonna come from it. And Republicans are going to continue to take L's for this. They just are. Yeah, because how can they not? People are living these experiences, and you still have Republican legislators, mostly older white men, and who are bound and determined to, oh well, we made abortion ban, so now let's get rid of contraception. Like what type that's insanity. That's insane. That is crazy. Like, damn, like, so what are you telling me that none of you, and when I say you, I mean the lawmakers who want to ban contraception, are you sitting here and telling me that y'all, like, you just don't have sex, like, ever? Like, if that's your choice, then if that's your choice or your situation, fine. But there's no way that's the case, especially for these men passing these laws. Like, oh, what? So be like, well, I had my last child 27 years ago, because that's how old these people are. I had my last child 45 years ago, and I haven't had sex since. Like, come on. Like, get the fuck out of here, man. Like, sex is such a just innate part of anything that reproduces sexually, but especially human beings, because it's whether you're heterosexual or homosexual or whatever the fuck in the alphabet of gayness and queerness, whatever the fuck it is that you like and whatever the fuck it is, whoever you are, all of us are sexual beings. There's some of us who aren't asexual, I suppose, but you get what I'm saying, man. It's a part of how we connect with each other. It's a part of how we express love. It can be healing. There's so many things. It's like, no, unless you're trying to get pregnant, you can't participate in it at all. And it's just so disingenuous. Like, give me a fucking break, man. I've been married for 50 years and me and my wife haven't had sex since the last time she spit out a child. Well, if that's the case, she's cheating on you because why wouldn't she if y'all don't have sex at all? And you're probably cheating on her too. It's like these people act like we don't like we're not adults, like we don't have lived experience, like we don't know what happens in life and in social relationships. Like all of us are children and we still believe it's so stupid. But unfortunately, people are paying horrible prices because of these people's juvenile fucking stupidity. This shit is childish. It's childish. Like, come on, man. The sexual revolution really, man, drove these motherfuckers insane. It really did because these people were coming up when it happened. Being able to witness women come up economically, do well in the workplace, do well in the in the academic world, be able to not get pregnant. You feel me? Like that really drove a lot of these people crazy. It really did. But that's what it is. So now let's go ahead and get into some spicy dating stories. Exactly. The stork brought them. But again, it's like, come on, man. Like it don't matter which way you swing. We're all I mean, it's just like, come on, man. It's so stupid. But yeah, we gonna keep up with that. Now, ain't this some shit right here? That yo, man, it's man. When you see stuff like this, and if you ever know anybody like this, it's like how much energy and effort it takes to do some of the things that people do out here. And this is one of them. Her boyfriend lied to her about being a doctor, and she found out he actually works at Taco Bell. Now, again, oftentimes when you see these situations, it's funny because well, there's a lot that's funny about this. Let's be serious. But it's funny, like when you read stuff online, because it'll be like, her boyfriend or his girlfriend, and it'll be like they met each other a month ago. Like that's not your boyfriend. That's not your girlfriend. You've been talking to each other. You've hung out a few times. Like it's just funny when you see stuff like that because I mean you would find something out like this rather quickly. It wouldn't take long before you would realize that a motherfucker was not actually a doctor. You know, but let's see what happens. And of course, I'm sure that she's really young and he's a lot older than her or something. But there's some funny shit right here, man. And see again, there we go. 3 months. See, that's how it happens. Exactly 3 months ago, this 24-year-old girl met her 32-year-old boyfriend through a dating app. And so it's like that's why it's always funny because it's like this happened in the beginning of dating. Like this did they were together for 2 years and she never knew that he worked at Taco Bell. It's always Taco Bell, Fritz. I'm glad you pointed that out. It's always Taco Bell. We went over some shit. I think it was, man, it might it have been. I don't know. Either I covered it on this channel or we covered it on Indisputable or somewhere. But it was people having orgies in a Taco Bell. Anytime anything goes down, it's got to be at a Taco Bell. That's how you know Taco Bell is king ratchet. It's ratchet as hell, but they chalupas be good. I'm a doctor. And he's 32. So if he's 32, then he's not an attending yet. Because typically people become attendings like at 32, 33, 34. So he would be a resident. But this is hilarious. Okay. From the beginning, her boyfriend said he was a doctor and that he worked at a nearby hospital. I mean, again, it's just like, man, if you're that embarrassed about your life, then try to change it or just be cool about it. Because a lot of most people Most people work normal jobs. Most people work maybe 2 or 3 jobs. Most people aren't rich and wealthy. So you could just embrace the fact that you work at Taco Bell. And again, if it bothers you, if you feel like you have more to contribute, then try. You know what I'm saying? You could be a guy who works at Taco Bell who's also pursuing this and also pursuing that and also has an interesting life. I like to go hiking, I have dogs, and I love my dogs. I go fishing, you know, but apparently this guy just, he thinks woman want money, woman think dollar sign, everything solved. Everything solved if you have money. But nah, that's not how the game goes. Having money is only going to do anything is only going to do so much for you. Money is only going to do so much for you. Looks are only going to do so much for you. Like you got to be a package. What all makes you interesting? You know what I'm saying? What makes you interesting? What all comes in the package? He named the hospital and his specialty to her. Her boyfriend pointed out that he had attended an Ivy League college to complete his undergraduate degree in biology. So far, their relationship has been wonderful. Their personal connection is crazy, and her boyfriend is incredibly romantic, though he dislikes spending a ton of money on her. Well, I wonder why that may be. I wonder why that is. I don't really like spending a lot of money on you because he works at Taco Bell and he's not a doctor. Maybe that was the first sign. You say that you work at this hospital. You know what I'm saying? But you keep taking me to Applebee's, and I ain't got a problem with Applebee's, but when I ask for a second drink, you wave your hand no. What's going on? But yeah, no, it and honestly, I ain't gonna lie to you, man. Like, that's a conversation for another day. All right. Last night I just happened to walk into okay, here we go. Yesterday evening, she went to one of her favorite fast food places to order some food, and she was shocked to discover that her boyfriend has clearly been lying to her about his profession and that what he does for a living. Last night, I just happened to walk into a Taco Bell and saw him working there behind the counter. We looked at each other, and I went up and ordered without addressing him. Then I went home to process what I had seen. I tried calling him today, but he wouldn't answer. Man, well, hopefully this encounter encouraged you because, yeah, man, again, like you said, Fritz, so we all a work in progress. We all a work in progress. Just you could have embraced it and then just, what else? What else is interesting about you? What do you like? What are you skilled at? What are you talented at? She clearly finds you attractive. Otherwise, she wouldn't have been dating you for 3 months. So you don't got to worry about that too much. But nah, man, you just can't go about your life. Well, that's not a good sign, though. If he on dating apps pretending to be a doctor, then that's not a good sign for who he is as a person. It definitely is not a good sign. Um, yeah, no, that's not a good look because he does that with other things too. He's just a liar. Like, because you don't have to do this to have a dating life, which again, he's just a liar. How could he lie to me like this? Do men do this often? Not that. We don't do that often. People aren't going to go that far often. So, you know, you definitely going to have to deal with some more bullshit from men for sure. You know what I'm saying? You definitely going to have to deal with some more BS, but there's acceptable levels of BS cuz all of us dish out BS. We could just be tired that day. You know what I'm saying? That's acceptable levels of BS. But lying about your career, that no, that's not acceptable. But she's also 24, so she's got plenty of time. No, that was just funny though. I'm gonna go. No, no, she'll never find out. She'll never know. This is hilarious. That was funny. Um. Okay, let's see. Um, no, we don't need to do this. Bow, 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 bow. Hmm. Yeah, I'm gonna play this trailer last just in case, because you know how things can go sometimes. They're coming out with another season of the Rings of Power, Lord of the Rings. I didn't watch the first season of it, because I've read bad reviews just in terms of it being like non-canon and kind of just like I don't know. I hadn't watched it though. I'm excited about Star Wars Acolyte. I'm definitely looking forward to that. Let's look at this real quick. Star Wars The Acolyte is getting a lot of high praise and first reactions. Good. Good. I man, Star Wars just has so much potential. It really does. And sometimes Star Wars fans, like the super fans of anything can be annoying because sometimes it's like, dude, lighten up a little bit. But, you know, um, Star Wars just has so much potential. There's so many books, so many comics that just have great stories that aren't focused on the Skywalker family. So I hope that Disney can make stuff that people like. We got old girl from Trinity. We got old girl from the Matrix, rather. Trinity's in this. The first few episodes of Star Wars The Acolyte have screened for critics, and they've been sharing their reactions on social media. So far, the reactions are very positive, and the series is getting some high praise. The series is described as superb, a very big winner. Character driven, gripping a blast, and a kung fu force fighting is magical. The kung fu force fighting. Character driven, nice. Sometimes when things aren't character driven, they can be a little dull. You know what I'm saying? And one of the things that I personally, one of the things I like about the era that we're in, it seems that we're going back into an era of quality over quantity, especially when it comes to the arts, because special effects aren't wowzers anymore. You know, that's the standard. In fact, you often see movies come out or just homemade fan productions come out that look better than things that go into the movies. Uh Everyday people have access to making like really good graphics. So that means that the plot has to thicken, the writing has to be better, the stories have to be more thought out. There has to be more character development, things like that. You know what I'm saying? Which is a good thing. That's a good thing. It's good that we're there. Um you can't just throw out like Marvel, like, oh, we're gonna put out 10 movies this year. That shit don't work no more. Stuff has to be good now. But yeah, there hasn't been much excitement from a lot of Star Wars fans for this series. And again, Star Wars fans can be really annoying. Again, some of the last trilogy movie set that came out, I didn't like it. I thought it was just not good. But Star Wars fans don't like anything. They don't be liking nothing. And it's kind of like, I don't know. It's kind of like, okay, guys, we're all nerds, but turn the nerd level down just a little, okay? Like you're being too much of a nerd. Like don't be so much of a nerd that you can't enjoy anything, okay? Like so that's too much of anything is bad, all right? All right, so here we go. I'm looking forward to seeing it. One, just because I really like Star Wars. I really like a lot of the books. And because Trinity's in it. And she's Trinity from the Matrix, and so I have to see it. If Trinity's in, count me in. All right. But yeah, no, there's so many books that are just fantastic stories. Um because the whole Star Wars universe takes place of it's like a 25,000 year timeline. So there's books that are written like way long before Luke Skywalker and all that shit. This is just a lot of cool stuff. It's books written about Emperor Palpatine, hit him and his master, how he came up, Darth Maul. But it's so much cool shit. And Disney's always like, let's pick the least cool thing, and that's just how some people do. You got a whole lot of good options in front of you, and you just, oh, let's not do this. Trailer for Lionsgate video game tech horror thriller Latency. I don't know anything about this video game. Let's see what it looks like. It's a long trailer.
Wait a minute. There.
Really?
I thought we fixed it.
I thought I had.
Yeah, well, that's why we tested. It's exactly the same as sleep as it is when I'm awake. Your mom was agoraphobic too. I'm here, just like her, unable to leave. Game after game. So what is it? I want some pro gamers to test it before the launch.
Hello, Hannah.
Yo, this shit looks cool as hell.
Hi?
The Omniac will decode patterns of your brain.
This is amazing.
Calibration complete.
Let the games begin.
The more you wear the Omnia, the faster it will learn.
Shut up.
Yeah! Oh my god! Jen, I won! Jen! I won the whole tournament! Jen, is that you? Hey, it's not a game!
Ooh, this shit is interesting. Okay, yeah. So she gets a little too deep into the digital world, and then maybe invites some spirits in or something, or her brain gets a little scrambled, a little too mixed into that world, and she can't turn it off. Yo, that would be some shit. This is like this is Elon Musk Neuralink right here. Neuralink gone bad.
Jen, is that you? Hey, it's not a game! Ken, are you okay? Have you even slept? I don't know if other testers said anything about side effects or something. How did you get in?
We've always been here.
No more. I have to get out of here.
Oh, and then what they say, agoraphobia. I guess that's the fear of like leaving your house or something like that. I don't know, but yeah, so that would be, she's stuck in this house of horrors now, but she's also scared to leave. Yo, this shit is interesting. This seems pretty interesting.
Omnia, are you doing this?
The Omnia will only do what you ask of it.
You are doing this! You are controlling me! All I've had was the games. Game after game. Open the door and walk out.
The Omnia is with you. Always.
Touch me, baby, tainted love.
Latency. Yo, this is cool. And it's a video game too. Yeah, I guess the next step, would be for video games to kind of make them, because for a while at least, there have been, cut scenes, even from when I remember, like Nintendo 64, PlayStation 1. Before that, you kind of had cut scenes too. It was just like words on a screen, but it's always kind of been progressing to this level. But now, yeah, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. The next step would be for it to be like a whole movie experience in and of itself. Yo, this shit is dope. Well, this is a movie, but still, like for video games to be more and more like this. What was it? Um, Jordan Peele. He's making a video game with, I can't remember what the Japanese video game creator is. He's like some legendary guy, like one of the modern day titans of video games. But they're making a video game that's kind of like a live action experience. This is a movie, but nah, this shit's dope. I'm gonna have to see that. I'm about to save this and email it to myself. But yes, everybody, thank you so much. We had a fantastic Friday stream. And I am like I said, either tomorrow or Sunday, I'm gonna do the next mental health stream. Hold on. Either tomorrow or Sunday, I'm gonna do the next mental health stream. We're gonna, again, kind of take an introduction into institutionalization, mental illness and institutionalization. So that's the prison system, that's mental health system, insane asylums, the movement to, get to close down mental hospitals, why there was a movement for that, why there's a call for them to come back, how Medicaid played a hand in that. There's so much to talk about, and it's really interesting. And we're gonna have to do that obviously in more than just one episode. But either tomorrow or Sunday, we're gonna do that. I'll put down like a countdown timer so y'all will know. But thank you for joining me. Thank you everybody for all your support. Thank you for your belief and your encouragement. Y'all have a fantastic weekend. Be safe, and I will see you